Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning. Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C.
For them to call BOWFINGER a 30-year-old white man is insane. For one thing, the person that is walking and dropping off the bombs in that video is not a man. It's a woman. But it's not just any woman. It's a police officer, a Capitol police officer, but not just any Capitol police officer. They're trans. So it seems as if they're willing to burn one of their assets to protect another one of their assets. Now, this officer, this female trans officer, she's no longer with the Capitol Police. She now works for the CIA. I don't know what she's doing. No one's been able to interview her, but whatever it is, it must be important for them to get one of their other assets to admit to being this person that clearly is not a black man.
5 years ago.
Let's take a look at this person, how they move and their mannerisms, etc.
So January 5, 2021, a hooded character planted bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters in Washington, D.C. Despite the most elaborate investigation in history into January 6, which was the next day, somehow, despite a $500,000 FBI reward, the Kabuki Theater manhunt for the pipe bomber went years unsolved. But that might be changing. Investigative journalist Steve Baker with Blaze Media claims a forensic analysis of a female former U.S. Capitol Police officer's gait is a 94 to 98% match of the unique stride of the long-sought J6 pipe bomb suspect, adding that this finding was confirmed by several high-level intelligence sources. A woman, a female Capitol Police officer. Baker says that female cop left the department in mid-2021, so just a few months later, for a security detail at the CIA. At this hour, no government agency has confirmed or denied this reporting. The FBI just telling us the investigation continues, not even touching our actual question about the specific officer. CIA called us back a number of times. They said they appreciated us reaching out, claimed they'd provide us with a statement. We have not gotten that yet. Capitol Police have not responded to us yet at all. Their former chief, though, is with us tonight. Stephen Sund was the Capitol Police chief on January 6, 2021, and it's good to have you on, sir. We're not
now, when they said they were able to match her with a 94 to 98% based on her gait, what they're describing is how she walks. She was injured in a soccer match, I believe in 2017, 2018. So she has a particular way that she walks. Even though she's masked up, her walk is unique. They were able to match her walk from dropping off those bombs with her also masked up and walking around the Capitol the next day on January 6th. And they were able to compare it with her walking during soccer games with up to a 98% match. That is forensics. That is how convictions are made. However, now that this person works for the CIA doing God knows what, they are going to run cover for her. Because don't forget, if she gets arrested and she gets exposed, you can track down who put her up to this. Because as of now, there's no actual good reason. They're saying that they caught a black dude who admitted to doing it. Since when do black guys make pipe bombs? Maybe have a crack pipe, but no one's making pipe bombs. And then to get rid of some really expensive sneakers. And I mean, he looks like BOWFINGER. He probably doesn't have any kids, no wife, might be gay. He seems like he could be an asset. And apparently now this is 4 or 5 years later. Apparently he just magically got arrested and just started talking. But it only happened as soon as we found out that there was a trans police officer who matched the description of the person who left the bombs. We haven't heard nothing about this case for years. A $500,000 reward. And now all of a sudden, because it comes out that there's a trans female that dropped these bombs off, and that's the lead suspect that no one can find anymore who works for the CIA, all of a sudden they bring forth somebody out of the freaking blue. We are living in crazy times. If this isn't the Truman Show in real life, if we are not all living in Netflix right now, then I don't know what reality is anymore. We are past the whole simulation theory. This is happening right in our faces. With all of our technology, they are lying to us directly now in real time. But because we have social media and we're not just depending on these talking heads on TV to tell us what to think, they're going to have a really hard time convincing us or getting us to just let things go anymore. We will hold them accountable. And if nothing even happens, it doesn't matter. We're going to smear them. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to let these things go away. This is just unbelievable. I mean, why would he call? The guy has a picture on the screen. He's black as hell. And he literally said a 30-year-old white man. You think these are accidents? Okay, for one thing, since when do they announce a person's race anymore on the news? You never hear them say, yeah, 20-year-old black guy, a 15-year-old Hispanic guy. They don't talk about race anymore. But because they want you to think, they want you to go with this narrative that white people are domestic terrorists, they're going to say, oh, a 30-year-old white man, and he's obviously a black dude, kills their entire narrative. This is all just a big joke. At this point, it's all a game. It's not even funny. It's actually an embarrassment to the country.
Naming this officer, we're not going to show her picture at this point. I want to start, though, with, do you believe that that is the person responsible for putting those two bombs down?
Again, Rob, thank you very much for having me on.
Sure.
And I am very well aware of Steve Baker's report. I've read it. Steve Baker, Joe Henneman put a lot of work into it. Again, I'm somebody that kind of works from facts, and that's kind of the way I've always been since January 6th, trying to put that out there. I would sure
look at that stride. Look at that stride. That is a woman. That is not a man walking. That is a woman. That's a girl, a biological girl. And look, bends over at the hip, doesn't kneel down, doesn't bend his knees because it's not a man. As men, when we bend over, we bend our knees. Women have different hip shapes. They bend over. They don't bend their knees. That is a female. That is a woman. Also, she waved at Capitol Police. Black people don't wave at the police. They just don't.
You know, Kash Patel's been in place over there for 8 of those 58 months.
Yeah.
They've got great technology. They've got great resources and great investigators. I certainly think they'd be able to solve this case.
So you don't want to say whether or not you believe. I mean, we're not going to put her name and her identity on television, but it's out there now. And did you know that woman?
Yeah, I did know the officer, but I think, you know, as the former chief up there, without some supporting facts other than reading one person report, I just don't think it'd be appropriate for me to.
Yeah. Even though they're trans and likely gay, look at the switch in the hips. That is not a 30-year-old black man walking in an alley with a COVID mask on and a backpack. That's not a black man. It's not, and it never will be. Now, they don't want to tell you the identity of this person, but we'll look her up. J6 bomb. See, this was getting around until they all of a sudden wanted to replace it with a black dude that looks like Steve Urkel and BOWFINGER. There we go. This is the actual person who laid those bombs down that they're covering for. Now, you can tell she's butch, manly. In her younger years, became a cop. Well, became a cop, became an agent, but this is her in the beginning. This is a trans woman. So this is a woman that went from F to M, female to male transition, not the other way. And they are covering for this person because now that Kash Patel and the FBI are investigating, and they did a very extensive forensic report on this woman, figured out who she was, and then all of a sudden, out of thin air, within a matter of days, oh no, actually, it's this other guy. He just admitted to a 30-year-old black guy, Brian Cole. He's admitted to doing everything. He's in there talking to the police for hours, saying that they were dumb enough to believe this. So look, this is what CNN's saying about it. Only a few days after the internet discovered it was a Capitol police officer who's a trans person. But doesn't that fit? Another trans terrorist, and our government's covering up for him. Wasn't it a trans person that tried to take out Trump and Butler? And wasn't it somebody that deals with trans they tried to frame saying they killed Charlie Kirk? If you don't understand that these trans people and a lot of these gay people are being created to be assets, to be weaponized, then you're in the dark and you have to get out of it. You need to come to the light and start to look around at what's really going on, actually.
CNN breaking news.
All right, we do have breaking news. CNN has learned that an arrest has been made in the Washington, D.C. January 6th pipe bomb investigation. You will remember that on the morning of the riots around the Capitol, there were also pipe bombs that were found at both the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee headquarters. CNN has now learned that an arrest has been made. Let's get right to CNN's Evan Perez for the latest on this. Evan, what are you learning?
You know, and it's laughable that they want to say that this black dude is a Trump supporter, but here you are dropping off pipe bombs that allegedly would have blown up other Trump supporters, but magically none of them ever detonated. So it's like they were just a prop put there to, maybe there was another plan that they decided not to go with, but these were just props. It's like all the world's a stage. It's like everything is fake and gay. Everything's fake and gay. Nothing is authentic. Nothing is real. Everything is scripted. How long has everything been scripted? How long have we been believing in, things just happening and, things going natural, nature just taking their course and day by day? Is our whole world scripted? Are our lives already predetermined by think tanks and some program in a building somewhere, and they're just now telling us about this AI, but it's been around for years? Because it's just ridiculous at this point. I mean, there's no way that they're literally only a few days after we discover who the actual pipe bomber is, only a few days after this comes out, now they're telling us it's this black dude that looks like Urkel.
Yeah, John, this has been a long-running investigation, a 5-year investigation that the FBI has focused dozens of agents. They've looked at thousands of tips that have come in, video, hundreds of pieces of video. And this morning, the FBI has made an arrest. We're told we expect to see some charges later today. But this is obviously something that has eluded the FBI, despite that the FBI has released from the placement of that bomb. These bombs were placed outside of the DNC headquarters, outside of the RNC headquarters. These were just a couple blocks from the U.S. Capitol. And when they were discovered, what happened was the police from the Capitol complex rushed over there, and that happened to be just at about the time that some of the crowds of Donald Trump supporters who were outside the Capitol began breaking through.
That's a woman bending over if I have ever seen one. That's a woman that pretends to be a man sometimes, but they're probably nervous and they're not thinking about the fact that men bend over with our knees. We are not just slouching over like that. That is a lady. That is a woman. That's a dainty person. Yes, they don't have breasts. They could have had a mastectomy, because remember, this is a trans person that is trying to cosplay as a man. And this is, listen, this is their first day at court. Let's take a look at how this went.
The suspect arrested in the D.C. pipe bombing case will remain in federal custody after making his first court appearance yesterday. Prosecutors say Brian Cole Jr. spoke to law enforcement for more than 4 hours after he was arrested on Thursday. He could face up to 20 years in federal prison if convicted.
So this random black dude that looks like Bowfinger and Urkel, who taught him how to make pipe bombs? There's no records of him looking it up on Google. Don't they track search databases and they see if you're looking up some types of information? Where does this guy come from? What does he do for work? Where did he go to school? Oh, well, he was connected to BLM, but he liked Trump and he talked, man, shut the fuck. And so this is obviously one of their assets. Maybe he's one of their snitches. Maybe they got something on him. Who knows? But they're going to burn one of their assets to protect one of their trans weapons. See, I've been doing stories for months now, actually over a year, where I've been saying, hey, they are weaponizing these trans people because remember, they have no children, they have no spouses, they don't have family, they're already mentally ill and delusional, so they have nothing to lose, and there's really no other place for them in society besides trying to find something for them to do like military contract work. That's the best fit for them. And I've been talking and doing stories about how they are literally turning these people into weapons. And then magically, the person who we find out after a forensic search in an extensive investigation, we discover it's a trans ex-Capitol police officer who now magically works for the CIA. They were never picked up in question. You can't find this person. And when a journalist went by her house to look for her, they were pulled over by local PD. So they're watching this woman's house. They're running cover for this trans weapon. And we don't know where this person is or what they're doing, but doesn't it make sense? I mean, in the real world of espionage, or if you're weaponizing or you're dealing with assassins, wouldn't one of your best trained people be someone who is trans? Because when you're profiling people, or if you're trying to look for someone, or you're trying to identify them, your gender is a really big identifier. It's like eye color or hair color. Well, is it a man or a woman? But what if you can pass for both? That seems like you'd be a more efficient weapon. Oh, hey, the shooter we saw run away was a man. They know the description, and then she puts on a dress and then she's walking down the street. Or vice versa, she switches it and goes the other way. So it's really hard to identify these people because here you are looking for a man with an APB, all points bulletin, but it's actually a woman. So all these years, no one really showed us a lot of these videos, or we would have said, hey, that's a woman bending over like that. So they were looking for a man. There's a forensic investigation that comes out that it's a woman. And then a few days later, all of a sudden, the FBI get a huge break. Give me a break.
CB Cotton has the latest from our New York City newsroom. CB.
Hey, John. Well, nearly 5 years after those two pipe bombs were placed outside the DNC and RNC, Brian Cole Jr. was arrested, and he started talking for hours, according to investigators. Prosecutors said in court yesterday they'll provide a transcript of that conversation to Brian Cole Jr.'s attorney this weekend. We've reached out to Cole's attorney for a statement on the case, but haven't yet heard back. Yesterday, inside the courtroom, Cole was unshackled for that brief first appearance. Members of his family called out, "We love you." Our colleague David Spunt says his sources have revealed that Cole admitted to planting the bombs, voiced support for President Trump, and expressed doubts about the 2020 election results. A notable detail because both devices were planted on January 5th, 2021, just one day before the Capitol riot and certification of Joe Biden's victory.
Give me a break. 5 years later, and he's bringing up the 2020 election results. Shut the hell up. This is the biggest bowl of dog shit I have pretty much seen. But I'll be honest, there's so much BS going on right now. This isn't even the worst. It gets worse than this, but this is bad. I mean, we literally just publicly discovered who the actual pipe bomber was. And now they're feeding us this guy. Now, we understand that these judges are all corrupt. They're all liberal. So they're not going to prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. They're going to run cover for him. He might get a diversion program, or who knows what's going to happen. But I wonder how much they're paying him. I wonder how much they're paying his family. You know, I bet they have hundreds of people on standby that they can pay that will take charges if any of their assets covers blown. 5 years later, I bet they were shocked that we figured this out. And they had him on standby to go up there and pretend that he was the bomber. And when I say they, I'm talking about the spooks, our intelligence agencies, the ones that are actively working to subvert our current president of the United States right now. You know, there was a memo going around that apparently there's supposed to be another attempt on Trump in about 2 weeks on December 14th. And if that happens, then that means this war that's coming in less than 90 days in Europe is guaranteed. The only thing keeping us out of this war versus Russia is Trump. Had Trump not won the presidency last November, we would already be, the U.S. would already be in the Ukraine getting spanked by the Russians right now. Trump's the only thing keeping us out of this war. You got to think about it. Everyone who's in our government, who's trans or gay, whether you're military, politician, Secret Service, they all hate Trump. All of them. So that's why it's especially dangerous, because we need to make sure everyone needs to know that these people are literally weaponized. And we've been catching them. Why do you think Hegseth purged them all out of the military? Why do you think now they're trying to get rid of Pete Hegseth? He saw through it, him and Trump. They said, hey, these people that are in the military, they are actually loyal to this other group. They're not actual patriots. We got to get them out of the military. That was the first thing they did. But we didn't get them out of the Secret Service right away. We don't know what, think about it. You got lesbians on police forces in New Orleans, got a lesbian that's the governor in Oregon, in different states, and they're all literally saying and these judges, a lot of the judges are gay. And here they are subverting everything to do with Trump. We really can't get much done. The reason they're scared of Hegseth, which I'm going to do another video on, is because he's a cowboy. He's not going to care about these judges, because Hegseth's going to say, okay, I hear what you're saying, Judge. I hear what you're doing, but how are you going to enforce it? Who do you have? What military are you going to send to come force your words on us? Because as a judge, you don't have any enforcement power. You can say something, but that's just words. The only thing that's going to matter are the men standing behind you with guns. Who do you have that's going to come enforce those laws? They know that Hegseth doesn't give a damn, so they want him out. They need us to be weak and soft and just take it. And we're not doing that because we're asking questions and we're pushing forward regardless.
Surveillance released at the time showed the pipe bombs were placed by a suspect wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, dark gloves, face mask, and a pair of limited edition Nike Air Max Speed Turf shoes. In an interview with ABC News, D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro said Cole admitted to getting rid of those sneakers after placing the pipe bombs.
Bullshit. There's no black man getting rid of some nice tennis shoes. Now, if they would have said, yeah, he had them in a shoe box with 50 other pairs of Jordans, and I would have said, you know what, maybe. But saying that he got rid of a pair of limited edition tennis shoes, get the hell out of here.
Pirro also said Cole revealed to investigators that he was disappointed in, quote, both sides of the system. Investigators also say Cole's cell phone was tied to the area around both party headquarters on the night of the crime. We're also told credit card receipts show he purchased bomb-making materials. He now faces multiple
credit card receipts, phone records, but on the day before January 6th, so you could go all over the country. They even went to Alaska because a woman looked like a woman that walked into the Capitol. A building that's open to the public. They went all the way to Alaska looking for her. They locked up patriots for years over nonsensical trespassing charges when Capitol Police literally opened the doors and let us in. And they want to pretend that they had all this data on this man and he was never flagged and no one went and picked him up, when they were literally combing through cell phone records of everyone in the city of DC on January 6th. This is an outrage. We should all be disgusted. But think about it. We're powerless. This is the most anyone can do, is what I'm doing, which is make videos talking about it. What else can we do? It's like we're all just along for the ride. We're watching this bus crash and burn. I'll be honest with you, the odds are better that Trump will be a net positive. There were no odds that Kamala was going to do anything ever. So, I mean, here we are. I mean, we're between a rock and a hard place in a way.
Charges, and he could face more, according to law enforcement experts.
They had all of the evidence there. It wasn't a priority. The number one priority under the Biden administration, the Merrick Garland FBI and Christopher Wray, was going after the January 6th misdemeanors, President Trump himself and his supporters.
Do me a favor, hit the like button. That helps put me into the algorithm. More people need to see this video that I'm making right now. Everyone needs to see how they're framing BOWFINGER to cover up for a trans ex-Capitol police officer who is now an asset of the CIA. And guaranteed, this black dude, Brian Cole, is also one of their throwaway assets. So they're burning one of their assets to protect the other, because the trans one is more valuable. They're literally using these trans people to do assassinations, mass shootings. This is their weapon of choice. We have to be aware of this. So please put me in the algorithm, like the video, share it. I'd appreciate it.
And they were very brazen about it.
Thankfully, the two pipe bombs never detonated, but investigators tell Fox they could have. Cole faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted on the current charges, and he's scheduled to return to court for a detention hearing on December 15th. John.
It's good to have some answers in that long mystery.
We had answers a month ago. This is a cover-up. And to be honest, if he is given any time based on his relationship working with or for the government, he'll be let out early and he's going to be well compensated. They literally use men like this. But watch, when you look into his background and we start hearing more about this case, if they cover it, we'll find out. But it's all nonsense. We already know who the actual bomber was. And to watch an actual real life cover up that's been verified in real time, I'll be honest, it's amazing. It's amazing. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, share the video, the single boyfriend, right-wing Rico. This is amazing. Well, remember, America first, America only. I'll be back on live in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.